Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how's it going?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've been super busy. Uh, we're trying to get this sim racing thing that's happening this Saturday. So if you're listening to this on Thursday, there's a sim racing thing happening. I still have to get a bunch of fuel data from the different cars to like make sure that it's all in alignment of how we expect the race to go. So the people waiting on that, you'll have it by the time the podcast comes out. I'm planning on working on it and finishing it up tonight, which is a Tuesday. Um, but what like the things that I have to release shouldn't impact whatever the race is, right? It's just like you're gonna have 4 stints and you're gonna be driving around Sebring. The rest of it, come on, let's not get too hyper nerdy about it. It's gonna rain, probably, maybe, hopefully.
Who are you? Don't hyper nerd iRacing?
Well, I can hyper nerd it.
Who are you? What have you done with DJ?
I can hyper nerd it, but I'm not hyper nerding this particular event. I'm hyper nerding all particular events.
All all particular events. So what he's talking about is our second Lizard Brains sim race, which is this Saturday, February 8th. It's a 3-hour race on iRacing using 3 classes of cars. If you want to try to join because you like playing iRacing, you can join the Discord and look up the rest of the race details, which will be out by the time you hear this. So it's open to everybody. The only way to guarantee getting a password early enough to guarantee getting into the race is by sharing us your information for like who's driving your team names and who's driving on your team and your team names. But
Well, it's 3-tiered. So subscribers get it 15 minutes early, and then after that's
and yeah,
sent out, after that's sent out, then it's whoever filled out the commentator guide, which Tom, you put a link of that in the event thing, right?
thought so, but no, I maybe didn't.
Okay, I
It'll be there. By
I
the time
think you
you hear
did.
this, it'll be there.
If it's not, it's going up right after the show. If it's not there, I believe it is there. All right, Jay said it's there. Thank goodness. All right, guys, come on. We got this. We're professionals. We're good. We're good. Um and then everyone
Yeah,
else
it'll be fun.
will so it goes subscribers to the podcast, everyone who's filled out that commentator guide, and then everyone else. So
Exactly. And if you don't want to race it or you can't race it, you can watch it because Kyle from SimTV will be broadcasting it and I'll be co-commentating with him,
yeah, so it'll be
which is
good.
so fun.
It will be a good show. You can come hang out in the chat with other Lizard Brain adjacent people and get your brain on. So it should be fun.
Or alternatively, get your lizard on. Whatever you
Yeah,
honestly.
whatever one you prefer. So, all right, that's our blurb about that. Tom, do you have any fun this weekend?
You've been well, you were telling me that been doing a lot of work for that race and then you were karting a lot this weekend. No, you were attempting to kart
I
a
was
lot.
attempting the cart this weekend, but I was dead. I was dead after me and Christine. We set out on a 12-mile hike, and then we ran across a man with an axe in the woods. And he told us that if we keep walking along this one trail right here, we'll see another waterfall. And guys, when somebody in the woods with an axe tells you to go down this desolate trail and that there's amazing things at the end of that desolate trail, you go down the desolate trail. You do not, you don't, yeah. Lena, don't go chasing waterfalls. Yeah. So we thought that there was going to be another waterfall, and we came across like a river crossing, but there was like a really big tree that fell across it. So me and Christine, like we like balanced, like walk across this like frozen log. We had like spikes on our shoes so we could like walk on ice. And we went
Uh-huh.
across the log, and it was kind of fun. I was like yelling to Christine, I'm like, just focus on your feet. Because if you focused on your feet, then the balance was easy. But if you like looked down at the river that you would fall in, then like it would probably like there was a chance that you would lose your concentration, right? So we went over that, and then we got to like another river crossing, and there wasn't like an easy way to get across. And it was like, all right, we're gonna have to have wet feet if we're getting across this, and it's like 20 degrees, so that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get wet feet. Um, Ducky's in the chat says DJ confirmed to be the first person to die in a horror film. It was funny because that same guy with the axe sent another group of people to check out the waterfall, and they were like, "Do you guys know where you're going?" I'm like, Now we talked to the dude with the axe. He told us to come down here. Hopefully he's not a serial killer. And then they all like nervously laughed.
You're not gonna be the first one to die. You're gonna be the reason the horror movie exists. You're gonna be like, "Guys, we should go do that. That sounds fun," and everyone follows you.
That's actually hilarious. I totally would be the reason. I'm like, gang, we should split up. Yeah. um, that's
You and your
actually,
band of meddling kids.
yeah, that's actually pretty hilarious. Anyway, so we were like, okay, cool. Well, that didn't work. That added like that wasted some time that we had allocated for this hike, and then also like because we basically we couldn't do the 12-mile hike anymore. We wouldn't have had enough time. So we're like, okay, well, there's a part in this hike where we can cut it out. So it turned into a 10.5 mile hike, but the whole hike was ice the whole time. And it
Ooh.
was up and down hills, and it was only like the very end of it where it was just flat, but it was ice the whole time. So it's like uneven terrain. It's like every single time your foot hits the ground, it's not flat because the ice is like heaved and like all weird, and you're like watching your step every single step. And after 10.5 miles, Tom, me and Christine were like, we were delirious. Like we kept telling each other that our brains weren't braining. Like, but it was like you got like a high at some point during that because like I don't know. It was we pushed ourselves pretty hard. I'm proud of how hard that both of us pushed it because there is a 9 mile hike that we really want to do when we go get married in July in
Right.
Colorado. So we're thinking, okay, well, we have to do like some really hard hikes around here so we like know what we're in store for. Um, and I think the ice and the cold and all that, and the just the up and down hills like the whole time. My watch before it died because I forgot to charge it. We were about halfway through, and it said I burned 1,800 calories.
Whoa.
So that was like it was like a
And
25
you
to 3,000 calorie hike.
did it say how fast? I'm guessing you were averaging like 5 or 6 miles an hour because it's ice.
No, five
Maybe
five
less.
miles an hour, we'd be running, bro. Like,
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I was
yeah.
just thinking, when I warm up on the treadmill, I go 3.5. So yeah, you're probably doing under 3 miles an hour.
It was we were like hovering in between like 25-minute miles and 30-minute miles.
So slow, and you're burning that many calories. That's pretty impressive.
Well, because the terrain was so up and down, and it just like and also with just the ice everywhere, it was very treacherous. So we were kind of taking our time on stuff and hustling when we could, and then at one point we got off the trail and we realized, oh crap, the trail's way up there. So we just like went sideways through the forest, like just up this like massive hill
Yeah.
because we got like on this at some point we got on this like service road where they like go up and like cut away like brush from like the power lines and stuff, and it's just where somebody drives, and normally we see like blue paint on the trees, and I'm like, I haven't seen blue paint in a while, can we look at the map? So we looked at the map and we're like, oh crap, the trail's over there, and I'm like, well, I don't want to walk all the way back up this hill that we've been walking down, but we have to go up this other hill that's right next to us sideways for like probably like 800 feet to get to like where we were. So it was like probably like a 5 to 10 minute trek, like up of a hill so steep that you could barely keep your footing on it. So
Mm.
it was
When you
fun.
do you have an app for the map, or do you have you like unfolding 17,000 folds and
No,
looking at it?
we don't have paper. Yeah, it's
Okay.
on the phone, and then the GPS keeps track of where we're at and stuff like that.
When we went snowmobiling, they had an app that was for all the trails that were like meant for snowmobiles. So we were like able to open the app every once in a while and make sure we weren't super lost. But there's got to be something like that for hiking, right? You're not just using Google Maps.
No, we're not using Google. I forget what it's called. It's called Trail.
So it is like an app or something.
Yeah, it's called oh,
All
there it
trails?
is. All Trails, yeah. Is that where you were using?
No, this was a Polaris app that was like for the snowmobile company, I guess.
Yeah, gotcha. So we use All Trails to like find the trails that we're doing, and then we also use an app called Strava. And Strava's like a super cool app. I think it costs like 50
Yeah.
bucks for the year or whatever, but like we're so like into hiking right now that it's like whatever, spend the money, do the things. So when I went and did that when I went and drove with Justin Peachy last weekend. I did that on Sunday,
Mhm.
but on Saturday we went hiking in like the area, and I forgot my boots. The only thing I actually needed to go hiking was my boots, so I had to buy some boots from Walmart. Guys, Ozarks, not that bad. Not that bad. Not as good as like a Merrill or whatever boots I normally use, but Ozarks for like for how much it cost, I think it was only like 40 bucks or whatever. Those boots, they made it. They did the job.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Boots podcast. My name is DJ Allison Green.
Lizard boots.
Yeah, I'm assuming those are brands. Ozarks is Walmart's brand.
That's like yeah, that's like Walmart's like outdoorsy brand. They have like Ozark tents and
Got it.
I bet if you went
I bought
to
some of my seating equipment at Walmart, and it was totally serviceable.
yeah, it was completely fine.
Yeah,
Should make
in a
a
pinch.
I feel like a video that might not do terrible on YouTube would be like a like Ozarks racetrack kit video or not Ozarks, but like just Walmart. Like you get like whatever tools you could find and like we're gonna do
Did
a
a
whole
race
race
weekend with
weekend with
Walmart
Walmart.
shop.
Yeah. Instead
You
of
could do it
Harbor
with so
Freight.
many brands. With only Amazon, with only Kmart, you would be sleeping in like the grass face down.
Yep. Yep. But you would have nice dishes. I don't know what Kmart sells at this point. Is Kmart even still around?
That was the joke. I have no idea.
Oh,
Couldn't tell you.
the joke was that you wouldn't actually be able to buy anything from Kmart, so you're not going racing that weekend.
Big brain joke.
Yep.
Tom have big brain.
Tom's brain is fully braining right now.
So you said you guys ended up hiking how many miles?
The app said 10 and a half because we cut out some of the hike. So,
That's plenty.
but we're already trying to figure out when's the next time we can try to go after a hike like that because afterwards and I got a bunch of advice from Austin Cobb who does ultra marathons and stuff like that. Like he just casually did like a 130-mile bike ride this weekend.
Yeah,
Uh
that was insane.
yeah, so and he me and him were talking excuse me. And basically he was like you guys didn't eat enough during that thing cuz like we burned so many calories while doing it that you're going into stores of calories in your body that like you shouldn't really be going into. Like of course you're going to feel like crap and fatigued and you're going to be tired for the next 2 days. But what Austin was telling me is that if we're eating like we're not going to be able to eat like 2700 calories like while doing the activity. We're not going to be able to do that. But if we can get like 2 to 300 calories in per hour that we're doing the thing,
Mm.
then at least we'll have a fighting chance of not feeling like crap the next day, which is important for us to learn because this is going to be a lot of what our wedding week is hikes like this. So if we're feeling ravaged for 2 days, then we wasted like a third of the week trying to recover from the one hike that we did, right? So that won't really fly. So yeah, I was supposed to go karting twice on Sunday because I went to Akron Sports Car Club at High Voltage Indoor Karting, which is like near me, and then I was going to go to Pittsburgh for the Steel Cities awards banquet. I was even in my car, Tom. I was already driving to Pittsburgh, and I turned around. I was too tired.
How far did you make it? Did you waste any energy on the Bolt?
No, I didn't take the Bolt because
Oh,
I
okay,
wouldn't have
good.
had enough range to go there and back. Uh,
Gotcha.
I made it to an exit that had a Chipotle, and I went, "That sounds good."
Yeah. Nice. Extra sour cream, please. I'm tired.
Yep.
I don't blame you. I've done that before. I've done that before on the morning of events, like local autocrosses, 4:30 in the morning when I had my own car and all that. I know for sure I've done that once or twice. Like,
Wait, where you're like driving to the event and then you're like, nah, actually, nah.
you know what? Maybe I've never made it in the car. No, I've never made it in the car. That's a new level of exhausted.
Have you ever made it to the gym and you're in the parking lot and then you're like, you know what?
Oh
Not
yeah,
today. And then you literally just drive home and you feel like a piece of crap on the whole way home.
for sure.
Yeah.
100% done that. Anyone who says they haven't is lying, in my opinion.
So, like, cause the
Like,
way I would always get myself to go to the gym, it's like I would do it in like steps. I'd be like, I gotta put the shoes on, and then I just gotta get my ass in the seat of the car, right? And if I could get that far, that was like the hardest part, right? And then after that, I could get to the gym and do the thing. But it was like that one time where I did the things that I convinced myself all I need to do is do those things, and then whatever happens after that is fine. And I got to the gym and I didn't want to get out of the car, and I was like, okay, well, I did the things I told myself I would do, so I guess I really don't wanna work out today.
guess I don't wanna. I can relate to that. I feel that actually. Um, oh, I had a story based on that. Oh, I was gonna ask you about the fitness stuff because I saw either you and Austin talking about it or maybe somebody in our Discord was chatting with you about making sure that you have like intake during the hikes, and it reminded me of like when we talk about endurance racing and keeping yourself hydrated a couple days before and like refilling electrolytes and stuff when you get out of
Yeah.
the car. And I realized that you were thinking of it like, I'll just eat at the end of the race instead of like every time I get a chance to get out of the car and like refresh myself.
Yeah, kinda.
Did
I
you
mean,
realize that?
we did stop at Subway and get, like, sandwiches to eat at some point during the hike. So I had,
They
like, a
have subways on the trails.
no, not on the trails, we stopped before we got to the trail, and then we went you're just messing with me. But,
I told DJ I feel like doing bits today. Sorry, I just can't help it.
Tom's a little troll today, and he's gonna get smited at some point, so
Look at my hair.
good point. The bright green
Okay,
hoodie
you got
looks
the
good on
subway.
you, by the way, Tom.
Thanks. It's actually Tomo Blue.
It is, it's very cool. That's some good looking merch you got there. We got a merch store, you guys should check it out in the description. Um, the yeah, we stopped at Subway, and I was already hungry because I woke up, did some coaching, and then it was, like, immediately after that, we, like, jumped in the car and ran. Um, and so I didn't have time to eat breakfast or anything. So we stopped at Subway, I ate half of the sandwich, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll save the rest of this for later." So if you think about it, I had, like, a 2,800 calorie day, just with that one hike, and I had, like, a what? Like, a 900 calorie sandwich? Like, that's not enough.
Nope.
That would have been good for and I already ate half of it. So that would have been good for, like, the first 2 hours was that sandwich, but then I had 3 more hours after that. So I would have needed, like, 3 sandwiches for it to actually be the appropriate amount of calories that I should have been eating while doing that hike.
Yeah. I made that mistake when I first started working out because I didn't understand nutrition or physical activity. And I learned the physical activity part first, and I was just killing myself at the gym. I was like, I'm gonna go 4 days a week. I'm gonna do a half hour on the treadmill, and I'm gonna do like all of these weights. I had a different routine every routine. I had a different. It's a routine, right? In the
Yeah,
gym, yeah. Uh, I pictured myself dancing in the gym, like,
like ribbon dancing.
yeah, this is my gym routine. Anyway, so I had my, like, different machines I did every day, and I was 215-ish pounds when I started, and I just had this arbitrary goal of I wanna be 165. And I dropped the first bit, like, really fast, but I also had a calorie intake set of 1,600 calories a day, and I just, like, arbitrarily set that, like, that's what I'm gonna eat per day. And I stuck to it doing that every 2 hours, I would eat 200 calories kinda thing for, like, 6 months, and I lost the first, let's say, 30 to 35 pounds really, really, really fast, but then when I started to, like, basically be putting out more than I was eating, it was even harder to lose weight too, and then I was just, like, this really scrawny little thing, even though I was, like, lifting a lot and I was running a lot,
Yeah.
and then I started to learn about nutrition because of racing more so than actually, like, my physical, like, uh abilities, and I realized, like, "Oh my god, I was just, like, starving my body." I couldn't do anything because and that's why I would get sometimes I thought I was just irritable because I wasn't eating enough, which was true, but not for the reason I was thinking of it. I was thinking, I get cranky when I'm
"Oh,
hungry." Like,
I'm
"No, you're,
just
like, starving
hangry."
for, like, a month.
Yeah.
Like, eat more.
Yeah, of course you're gonna be more
So
aggressive when you're, like, actually starving yourself.
right, so but, I mean, like, it didn't go on that long, but I realized it pretty quickly, like, "Oh, I'm just never gonna have enough energy to keep doing this. I have to intake more." So it's good you realize that.
Yeah, well,
I think everybody can realize that with our activity more than they do.
I realized that with Austin. And, I know when we do, like, iRacing endurance races that the intensity of my stints and what I figured out, we have a heart data channel, is that people have different levels of intensity that they operate at, and I kind of expected to see that with the heart rate data channel. But my level of intensity, like, my heart rate is so much higher than everyone else. Like, I feel calm in my brain, but my heart rate is like I'm running heart rate. Like when I'm
Yeah.
concentrating on something, it's like 160 beats per minute, like spiking into like 180, stuff like that. And that's just my concentrating really hard on something heart rate. Um, and other people, they're like sitting at 90, 100, like they're kind of chilling in comparison. So I think like the intensity when I'm doing a stint is really high for me. Um, and I don't know, I think that's just probably like the baseline of how I do it. I don't think I can change that. I think that's just probably how it is for me. But that means I'm burning through a lot of energy while I'm doing it. Um, so I know when we do like endurance races, I I tend to like have to pig out, and if I'm not, then I'm really hungry. Like I'm real hungry. So
Mm.
yeah, it's after that hike, me and Christine, we went and got Chipotle, and I got like a large chips and a giant tub of queso, and I went nuts on that thing. And then afterwards, I was still hungry, and then the next day, I was hungry like forever. Like I was insatiable. I was just eating everything. Um, but yeah, I think the next time we go on a long hike like that, I mean, like we have backpacks, and the backpacks are just gonna be full of food essentially.
That's my understanding is most of what people carry when they do those big long Appalachian Trail hikes or whatever, the majority of what they're carrying in daily body weight is or in their in the yeah, they because they
Sack
do
weight
their
or
weight out
pack
per
weight.
day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is food. Yeah,
Yep. So we'll bring more food next time. Maybe we'll get like 2 Subway sandwiches and throw those in our backpack or something.
wild. You could get 3 even and split the last one if you need to.
Yeah, we
Be
could.
crazy.
Yeah, we could.
They
But
cut them in half for you.
I mean, look, having too much food is better than not enough food. So I'd be curious to do like basically the same hike, but we just like, and something that Austin said kind of like struck me where he was like, "Yeah, I've been training myself to be able to eat as many calories as I need to." So probably starting out, it would actually be hard to eat like the appropriate amount of calories while like doing that physical activity. Like maybe at some point, like your body starts to react to it, like you get like heartburn or indigestion or something, right? Where like it's like you're getting a barrier to eat more food. So
Mhm.
like maybe that's something that me and Christine should be like training ourselves to like eat the appropriate amount of food while we're doing like these more difficult hikes.
You guys are gonna have to do like an eating routine all the way up to your wedding for like a month. You have to eat increasingly more every just so you can eat enough on your hike.
Yeah. Uh
Most people are going to the gym. You and Christine are doing a combination of hikes and pigging out.
Yeah, yeah. Most people they like diet before their wedding and they lose a bunch of weight. Me and Christine are like, we need to bulk up. We need
Yep.
to we need to get our ability to eat 4,000 calories in a single day up.
More carbs, more carbs.
Yeah. That's gonna be completely opposite.
Well, that's cool. I didn't have nearly the active weekend, but I did kind of because I was dog sitting for Eric Catil. His dog Senna is actually the only dog I've ever known since it was like a puppy that you can get like eight, what is it, 8 weeks? And it's like so cool to have a dog like that versus my brothers had dogs, but they're rescues, and he got one when he was 4 and the other one was 1. So that dog I'm like not that person's I'm not that dog's person no matter what. Whereas like Senna's like a different level of stoked when you see him
Yeah.
or when he sees me. So I went over to Eric's house and stayed there for the weekend and hung out with him. We went on some walks and we played frisbee and we hung out. But
So you had a dog for the
uh
weekend.
I don't think I covered 10 miles. I did have a dog weekend. It wasn't that like exciting. I watched the Bathurst 12 hours, which there's not that many exciting stories from, but
Did you see that one
I
crash
want to go there so bad.
with the AMG
I of course I did. Yeah.
where
Do you know what a pelican is?
a pelican like a bird?
Yeah. So this just take a guess. It's Australian slang. What is a pelican?
Oh, okay, so it's not a bird. A pelican
No,
means
it's a
something
slang
else.
word.
Oh. Is it like the same thing that we call boogers on the podcast when somebody has boogers?
It's not quite. It's not quite. It says it's a slang. A pelican is used to describe someone who is foolish, an idiot, or a clown.
Were they calling people pelicans on the broadcast?
So the guy that not only crashed into 2 other cars in his stint and owns the race team and owns a house on the track and he's like an infamous gentleman who took out the Mercedes that crashed and almost went over the fence. He was
That,
the car that hit him.
that was a pretty gnarly
Called
crash.
everyone else called everyone else pelicans.
That guy did?
The guy that yeah. I was like, "Pelican, seagull? I don't know, pot, kettle." Like, come on, dude. Like, you are he's like, "Everyone's crashing so early." I'm like, "You are all the crashes.
You matey boy.
Matey boy. What is he doing?"
Hey, that was a really good impression, Tom. What if people want to see what we're referring to, what do they throw on YouTube to find that specific Ferrari video?
It's so good. It's called The Race of My Life, I think is the video called The Race of My Life. And it's this clown from I don't know where, doesn't matter.
If
Crashing a green Ferrari without
if you
crashing it for like
imagine
10 minutes straight. Race of My I think that's what it was called.
if you
I'm finding it.
imagine
Go ahead.
yeah, you find it. If you imagine like somebody that's probably like moved to intermediate and maybe they shouldn't have been and they have zero fear and the race of my life, that's what it, yeah, okay, Tom, you found it. Um and for some reason they're now all of a sudden in a GT3 car in a FIA race. That's exactly what's happening here.
Yep, it's
Like,
incredible.
we're like missing brake
Uh
markers somehow. Like the ability of this person to continually send it off the track but not hit something was actually incredible.
yeah. And it produced some of the best commentary I've ever heard.
Because
You know,
that's
when we're commentating, we're often told to be a bit neutral. I
yeah.
have a really hard time with that because I just like I have this sense of right and wrong that sometimes I can't hold my tongue. I would be like those announcers in this, and I think that makes it so much better.
Well, after like the first two incidents, they're still neutral, and then it's just like a slow, like
Decline.
yeah, decline of neutrality, and it just turns into like, what is this guy doing?
Incredible.
It comes to the point where they'll see a cloud of dust, and they're like, "Oh, don't tell me it's so and so," and they're, "Oh, oh, it is," and they start laughing to each
It
other.
is! Yeah, this guy wasn't quite that bad. He was still a pelican, which is my new favorite thing. I'm gonna try to work that into I'm gonna try to make it happen.
All right, uh, we'll figure out a prize for the best pelican livery in the race on Saturday.
Just don't be a pelican in the race.
Don't be we might have a pelican award, which is not much of an award.
You don't want it.
You don't want that award. I hear
Actually, like a big not for our event, but like a big taxidermy pelican would be a hilarious trophy at like a champ car race.
and they have to carry it around, and if they
Yeah.
don't, then it's like a big fine. I would love that.
Bolted to the top of the car.
Yeah, it has
That's a
to be on
lemon
the
thing,
top of
I
the
guess.
car for the next race.
Yeah. Or in paddock only.
Or
So everyone comes up. Actually, that's such a good penalty because then they sit this ridiculous thing in their paddock space and everyone's walking up all day going,
everyone knows.
"What's with the pelican?"
Yeah.
You just get bothered all day.
Yep. Oh, I love that. I like that. Remember back in the day of Grid Life iRacers where we would have a special livery that we would tell people that they had to put on their car, and it was like
Yeah, and
we called it the dunce livery, and it was like it had like caution, I'm bad at driving, like careful, I murder people, like all over the car, and it had like a dunce had like a dunce cap on it and all these different things. And I think that was actually an effective way to make sure people didn't drive like animals.
I think it did work. But I also, if I remember correctly, was maybe the first or second one to get it because of my thing with Kenton Cook.
Yeah.
So I don't but that's a it's okay.
Tom
We earned
didn't
that.
know where his bumper was, and I think it was more than just Kent and Tom. I think he took out like two other people too.
I was new.
You were still figuring out where your bumper is. I did the same thing. I was in a Porsche Cup race, and I was trying to file in, and I just spun the dude, and I was like, "Oh no!" I literally just like murdered him, and I sent him a message
Recently?
after. Yeah, this was like 2 days ago, and I sent him a message afterwards, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, I was trying to file in. Like, I'm very sorry. It looks like I just murdered you." And he's like, "I know it was on purpose. You'll get what's coming to you, or whatever." And then he left, and I was like, "Oh no, there's future violence in my or there's violence in my future." Like, I didn't mean it.
Got a bounty on your head.
That's
Shit.
fine. Everyone knows the best defense, is a good offense. So when I see him, I'm just gonna actually kill him this time, so I don't even have to deal with him.
He's brutal. Um, so yeah, that my weekend was just pretty much that, hanging out with a dog, and I watched a little bit of racing. I watched some good movies too. By the way, if you guys have never seen the original 1980s Clue, like based on the board, it's either based on the board game or the other way around. It's such a good movie and it's free on YouTube. I was cracking up one of the nights watching it. But yeah, fun weekend. So you actually had a classic topic idea, a classic Lizard Brains topic for this podcast that we're going to try to hit on.
We're gonna try. We'll see how it goes. We haven't fledged it out, but I think it might create a cool conversation, and we'd love the chat to jump in and share their interactions with it as well. The thing that we were uh, planning on talking about is how coaching actually turns you into a better driver, or helping other people. So by giving, you're getting. So I think part of the idea of this, well, for one, I've noticed in the last year that I've really been coaching a lot. I think I'm driving the best I've ever driven. And a lot of that I think is because I've had to try to figure out, why am I going faster? Why did the client lose time on me in this sector? And I have to figure that out and then contextualize it in a way where I can explain it, sometimes in like four different ways. So like you have to organize it in a bunch of different ways in your brain to explain it to somebody in a way where they understand what they have to do, or what they are doing and what they have to do to be able to do that. And I think in that process, I think I have almost figured out, okay, what am I doing correctly? And then like now I know the path for my own driving to get better at my own driving. One of my clients that I was working with for the last year, almost every week, we work on something, and he mentioned, he's like, I feel like I'm getting faster, but I'm like the same amount of time behind you. But I think it's just because you got faster, and it made me think, and I was like, I really have gotten a lot faster in just the last year, and a lot of it, this one particular client, he really pushes me because he's accelerating so quickly, and I keep wanting to be valuable to him. So it's really, that client is really pushing me to like be better than I ever have been. Um, so I was just thinking about this and how me helping these other people is actually turning me into a better driver. And that's not something I expected when I started to try to help people with driving. Did you notice kind of the same thing when you started really like diving into coaching?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it now, and then I'll kind of like maybe tell some stories, but at the end of the day, the task is always problem solving,
Yeah.
right? To get better is problem solving, to identify mistakes is problem solving. It's a reverse engineering of the thing. It's a problem that to solve, right? So you have your own ability, but if you bring in somebody else's ability to help solve that problem, that's one of the primary functions of like a good coach. They set the tone and other stuff too, but they're helping you solve your problem of getting faster. So it's inevitable that the person who becomes better at solving other people's problems will be good at solving those problems themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I would verbalize my experience with helping people, because I'm not naturally a good coach in the sense of uh not coach. I'm not necessarily a good communicator in what I'm doing. And I've had to learn to like reverse engineer what I'm doing and communicate to other people so that I can help them understand how to solve the problem. And the biggest problem for me was being able to like really understand the problem that I've already solved and verbalize it. And I think that a lot of people actually have that in there. Whether you're fast or not, there's something that people are doing right that you can start with.
Yeah.
I really don't think I've ever had a person that's just like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do with you. You're completely hopeless. The people who feel that way, honestly, are way more experienced. Like, you're never going to get it, but you're functional. starting with somebody who needs their help doing that problem solving, and then like getting good at doing that for yourself, meaning doing that for somebody else, helping them solve their problems, put words to it. They are that you're going to get better at doing it for yourself. So like I say, I started coaching through instructing autocross schools like way back when I was like 17. And I didn't know how to say what I was doing, but I kind of like fumbled through it for a long time in a serviceable enough way, but it wasn't like, my job or
'Cause you
anything. And
you
I,
were
I
still
got confident
formatting
enough.
you were still, like, formatting the ways that you were talking about because like, driving is very it's a very tough thing to explain, so it takes
Yeah.
time to, like, formulate those ideas and to figure out, well, what actually matters in the actual performance of what I'm doing, and then you start narrowing in those things. Yeah, and once you figure out what actually matters, then it's easier for yourself to focus on those things.
Yep. And I also don't believe that anybody ever gets good enough that they never make the same mistake again. You just delay making that mistake by identifying that it can happen.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. So all that to say, I've learned I would say that my best like driving the first time I really peaked, I don't know that you can get like better than your best, but the first time I really felt like I peaked was like 2013-ish when I was winning, most autocrosses I went to, and I got driver of the year that year, and I was really proud of my performance that year. But that was 5 years of also coaching autocross schools, instructing autocross schools for starting line and for Evo school. I mean, sometimes like 4, 5, 6 times a year. And every single time I taught a school, I got better at doing something because I got better at identifying the problem and I got better at realizing I was doing it too, or that I had done it again because I made the mistake before and now I just made it this time too. So yeah, I think that's my experience with it almost ties back to really like keeping good people around you who motivate you to do better because you're going to learn off of each other.
Yeah. I almost feel guilty about, taking the money from this one client who's like, if anything, I've definitely helped him get faster, but
Yeah.
like he's helped me get faster as well, but he's the one paying me, you know what I mean? It's like
That's what nice Christmas presents are for or whatever.
yeah, yeah. But uh yeah, it's I think so what the thing that I'm thinking of is like, okay, so the listeners to our podcast right now, they're listening to this. They're like, okay, cool. So like, well, how do I start doing that? And I think the way you start is just by helping your friends, talking about the
Yep.
course or the track or the driving, or you watch each other's videos and you surround yourself with people who it's like a collaborative effort to get as fast as possible, right? And within that community, you guys explaining what you're doing or what you're thinking or what you're feeling, all these different things, what you're doing is you're organizing your thoughts in your head where even by trying to get somebody else to understand your thoughts, you're understanding them better yourself.
Yeah. I would hope that's what our community is above pretty much anything else. Um, Trying to think of how I would even go about advising somebody to find the right people. How you have an idea of how you found the right people? I don't really know how I did other than I started volunteering at the local events.
I
And
th-
I like knew the people who were putting on the events and because they're invested, they tend to be better at it.
yeah, I mean that
Maybe.
I hmm,
Oh, I lied. Nope. Actually, before you get it
go
out,
ahead.
sorry, hold your
Yeah.
thought. It was going to national events. I started going to national events
Yeah.
within a year and a half of going to local autocrosses.
I think when
And I
you
found the national people and the national people pushed me.
Yeah, I think when you start going to and we're talking about autocross, I think when you start going to the bigger competitions,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
you're running into the people most of the time who have like a growth mindset where they're constantly looking for the next thing to help them go faster, and they're open to feedback, and like those are the people that we should be surrounding ourselves with, and that's the people that we should strive to be, is the people that are always open for feedback and always striving, never sitting on what they've already done or what they can already do, but like looking to the next thing of like, okay, what's next? What's the next lowest hanging fruit? What is the next thing I should be working on? Like it was, I don't know, like 3 to 4 episodes ago where I asked Tom on the spot, like, hey, what's the thing that you're focusing on right now? And Tom knew exactly what it was. because Tom knows exactly what his like next lowest hanging fruit is, or the thing that he needs to polish up on, or like maybe it crept out where he needs to fix this, or ooh, I've slacked a little bit on that, so I need to work on that, right? That's I think that's those are the people that you want to surround yourself with, is the people who would be able to answer that question. What's the thing you're currently working on? Right? Because those people are going to be the ones that help push you and would want you to help push them. So if you've already found that community and that group of people, then awesome. And like you said, Tom, I hope our community and our Discord is very much those type of people. And I believe we do have that, and we're very lucky to have like an
For
entire
sure.
yeah, an entire community of people who are growth oriented, and they're driven to do whatever their best is. Whatever they're able to put into it, they're hoping to get their best, right? And everyone can put in different amounts, but yeah, I hope the community that we've built is that, but even smaller than, the couple hundred people that are in this Discord, uh, just like your own close group where you guys can be open and honest, 100% to each other would be super super beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I'm still thinking back to like now I'm questioning if I got better from coaching versus the stories I've already told, and I don't know that I did. Like the work coaching. I honestly feel like all of the gains that I've made as a driver have been more community driven because if it wasn't, let's see, if it wasn't those autocross years, then it was my like the first road race class I was in was a group of 10 to 15 guys that organized their schedule in an email early in the season. So we all went together or none of us went at all. We always had good races. So that was communal. And then getting into pro racing was, Scott and Renee, sorry, Andy and Renee, traveling with me and my parents, and that was communal. So I guess like I was pushing myself, but I knew enough and I had my community. And then ASM was like communally driven to all push ourselves to be better with the GLTZ stuff. So it's like I can't think of a like career move that I've made that made me better. It's like the people I'm surrounded myself with make me better.
I think another thing that has led to my improvement is when I'm making the data for the coaching sessions, is
Mm,
I need to get that really well executed lap quickly, because I can't spend too much time on it because I have to make data for somebody else, right? So
yeah.
like just that pressure of like a super well executed lap, no mistakes, just every single time I hop on the sim, is like, I think just that inherent pressure of that is forcing me to be better than I have been as well. So maybe there's a little bit more to how I feel like how I feel like I'm improving, that's just beyond like the conceptualizing and like putting into words, but also like the environment of trying to be better, right? Or when I'm putting laps together, they're trying to be like super accurate and mistake free, and maybe I've stumbled onto something that has like totally worked for me. But I still think there's value in trying to put what you want to say into words. Like, Tom, I've talked to you about this before, but I really do think if we put like a book together, that it would be super useful for people who would buy that book. And I think it'd be useful for us because there would be a lot of organization of thoughts and how we perceive, because we both perceive driving differently. Like we come at it like different angles. So like I think like a Tom and DJ book on like the yin and yang of driving. Like you both end up at the same spot, but like how did you get there,
I like
right?
that.
Yeah.
What if the book starts from either end and it's like Tom's version and DJ's version, and by the time you get to the middle, you're fast? Is that how it works?
Dude, that'd be sick. Hold on. I love that. You could like you would flip the book like upside down or whatever. It depends on like which way you open the cover.
Yeah. Your
Dude,
pages are one side, mine are the other.
yeah, and then when you get to the middle, it's like okay, if you want Tom's perspective, like
Yeah.
dude, I like that. So we would have to come up with like a similar format. All right, guys, we're just working at this point. You guys are coming along for the ride. Uh,
Phil,
Phil.
Phil commented, "Publications hate this one book style."
Oh my god. Phil, we're
Good
stealing
night at
that.
9.
That single clickbait is going to that's gonna make us millions.
Yep.
Um, oh, dude,
That's funny.
I don't know if we could actually get it published like that because I feel like because they just print it and they just right, they just like assemble it. It would have to be assembled a different way to actually be the
Oh,
way
yeah,
that we
yeah.
described it. But
I'm
I
sure there are books who have done that.
I really really like that idea. That's super clever. Though it would be kind of annoying for somebody to be like, okay, that's DJ's perspective, but maybe on this particular topic, I would find Tom's perspective better. So then like they would have to turn the book around and try to find that same section on the other, you know what I mean? That would probably be a little bit annoying.
Oh, no, no, it would be this well, yeah, the way to do it would be the same topic on both pages, but the gimmick is one's upside down, so, like, you just turn the book over and you get both perspectives.
Oh,
Can you imagine someone reading that, just turn it over every 90 seconds? They're, like, steering the car.
yeah, yeah. We make the book in the shape of a wheel.
Oh, there we go. Alright, guys, new merch coming soon.
I can't wait.
No, no, it's great. What were you gonna go with the book? What was your point with the book?
Just
Like,
organizing our
oh, coming at
thoughts.
things differently.
Yeah.
Coming at things differently, so getting different perspectives, that's why.
Right. Well, that, but then also just organizing our thoughts, I think would probably help us as drivers and competitors because I think in the process of trying to organize those thoughts, you're going to understand where you come from better and maybe even what your own weaknesses are in that moment.
'Cause understanding both perspectives has helped me massively. I'd never thought of driving in the way you think of it before, 'cause I'd never met like, Dave Montgomery and I worked together a ton with driving, so he and I had a really good dialogue, but we were way more on the same page. Andy and I are more similar. Like, you and I are the most polar opposite, but able to have the dialogue that I've ever met, which I think is the coolest part of this, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. But I've met more since then. A lot of pro guys have a completely different some of the engineering pro guys, I'm trying to think of an example, but maybe somebody like honestly, even like Kenton's understanding of the car is more engineered than when he speaks the way he drives
Yeah.
than you or I are.
Kenton's he's so cool. God, Kenton's so
So
cool. He is so cool. He like if you guys missed the Kenton episode, go listen to it. But the guy literally flies his own plane to IMSA races and then races his the GT3 car. Like
and
that's
he's got a full season in IMSA GT3 and SRO GT3 now.
yeah, dude. Kenton's killing it. He's doing all the right things.
So cool to be his teammate one.
Yeah. A-
Do you have any other thoughts on the topic
And
of helping
and to be
others
the guy
to
that was
get help?
qualifying the car. Hell yeah, Tom.
Everybody wants to be the starter.
uh any more thoughts? I think that's basically it on the coaching stuff. But yeah, if you find like if your local autocross region is doing like an autocross school and you could participate in it, like do it. Do it. I think you're going to learn a lot from teaching is what should be the takeaway. Is you're going to learn more teaching it than you probably ever would listening to somebody else try to explain it to you.
And it's a good time to think about it now because coming up on the start of seasons, and if this is active in your brain, can't be bad.
Yeah, maybe even reach out if you don't see a school for your region. Maybe reach out and say, "Hey, we should have a autocross school for like the novices and the newbies," right? Because
Yeah.
I remember
Or
my
better way,
first what? Let's go ahead.
I would just say, what would it take to? Go ahead.
Yeah, that
Like,
would
what
work
would it
too.
take to
I remember it was the NWOR, so the Northwestern Ohio region, and they were doing like an autocross like novice school, and I was only like 2 years into autocross, and I wasn't even sure like if I like well I I'm willing to come help, but like I don't know how useful I'll be. And I ended up being way more useful that day than I actually intended. And part of that was I didn't realize how much I knew compared to a novice cuz like when you're learning, it's kind of hard to keep track of like how much you've learned in like the last year or two compared to somebody who's coming in and being like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to do this, but like I don't know.
Serious.
I never did it, and now here I am, right? So it the novice school almost takes time to, or it like it helps you take note of like the things that you've learned so far, and then from there it's easier to figure out the things that you still need to figure out. Uh, but yeah, do do the your autocross novice school. That would probably be super. That'll be more useful to you than the novices, probably. Selfishly, hell yeah,
You mean instruct it.
yeah,
Volunteer to instruct it.
yeah. Volunteer
Yeah.
to instruct it. Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
So all right,
If you listen to this podcast, you're qualified.
yeah,
You're
just say,
fine.
you know what, when
You
you're
already know
signing
enough.
up, yeah, when you're signing up, they're gonna be like, "What are your qualifications?" Because that, that's how it goes. Is they a very scary voice, intimidating. Um, and you just say, "I listen to Lizard Brains podcast," and they'll be like, "Oh my god, you're the head instructor. Get in here."
Yeah. Well, DJ said.
Wait, this was only for volunteers, but I'm sure we could find some kind of money in the treasury to give you.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, good chat.
Did you see what Daniel said in the chat? He said, "When Tom talks
When Tom
backwards,
talks back.
it's DJ's voice."
Oh, going off the joke.
Yeah, with the book.
He says, How does the audiobook work?" And I just said, "I talk backwards."
It's
And then
kind
if
of,
you reverse my voice, it turns into DJ's. This is getting complicated. We're gonna need some AI help in here.
yeah. I was gonna say we're gonna need some help on this one. Do you want to jump into some emails?
I do.
All right. Emails.
Hell yeah. All right, so this is an ambush. DJ didn't know this was happening, but I'm actually gonna start with a message I got.
Oh,
And bear with me for a second, because it is serious for a second. But this message made me want to say this. So I got a message from someone. I'm not gonna say. I won't say who they are or who they work with or anything. But the line that from the message that really got to me was, um, I propose. He this person helps with putting on events for an organization, and I propose that we add one sentence to the very bottom of our red. This is a quote. I propose that we add one line at the bottom of registration pages expressing our inclusivity, and it sparked a long conversation. Though the leadership is on the same page, they are apprehensive of the repercussions.
whoa.
I have so many thoughts. I want to help, and I'm crying inside, not knowing how. Just showing up and being friendly doesn't quite seem enough anymore. And I want to share this because I've been pretty scared for a couple months, and definitely this past month. I'm not comfortable leaving the house as comfortable as I was, and I'm learning that I'm not the only one. And I want to say this because if there's other areas that I can't control, this is my podcast, damn it, and I'm going to control at least this one. And uh, the 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 last two things I want to say are, first of all, obviously the Lizard Brains podcast, Lizard Brain events, Lizard Brains Discord, all that stuff will always be safe, welcoming, inclusive for everybody. And hopefully other events I'm involved with too, but at least the ones I have full control over. But if you're listening to this and none of that resonated with you and you're thinking, what's he talking about? I only want to share with you that you're um, you're in a lot of control of what's going on right now with the people around you. And all I can ask is that people keep an eye out for the people who might need an eye kept out for, and intervene or stand up for them when they need it. Um, Inclusivity doesn't mean you have to talk to everybody. You don't have to go out of your way. You don't have to do anything. It's only actions when somebody might need it. So, uh, got a big adrenaline rush. Whew. But I've been wanting to say, I've been like rehearsing what I wanted to share something about that on this podcast because this is the only space I can control anymore. Um, and when somebody else sent me that, it was like, we're at the point where just saying everybody's welcome at this racing event. Everybody's welcome at this racing event.
That might
Makes
cause
makes
controversy. Is
There's controversy or apprehension to
bonkers.
that. Broke my heart. It makes me so sad. So I'm not going to let that be a discussion point. That's a standard. It's always been the standard here. And if you agree with me on that, then just keep an eye out for the people who might need it. And when you see that they need it, just do something about it. Stand up for them, whether they're in the room or not. That's the most important thing when they're not in the room, because people will never say things like that. And most people won't say things in front of people to make them feel unwelcome. They'll do the things away from them that make them feel unwelcome. And we see it and we know it happens and it sucks. So, especially when you're in those rooms where things get said, men say things about women, white people say things about other people, straight people say things about other people. If you're in those settings and you can intervene for a moment just to help, that's the only thing you really need to do. That's the only action it takes. So
It could be even as
I don't need to
simple.
start a discussion. I
Yeah,
just wanted to share that and just say this is where we are. This
it could.
Lizard Brains podcast is for everybody, and we love everyone.
And that intervention, and Tom, thank you for that. And yeah, I thank you for exposing your heart on the podcast. We appreciate that. An intervention could be as simple as like, "Hey, that's fucked up." That's all it has to
Yeah,
be.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah, it
keep
just
it
has
to
to be a
yourself.
check. It just has to be a check. Cause sometimes people say stuff and they're like testing it out on like the crowd. It's like, is this acceptable? And if somebody goes right away and goes, that's not acceptable, then they go, okay, right?
Usually,
Usually.
and like I said, I that's all you got to do. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be long discussions. It doesn't have to be anything other than just that little bit of action when it needs to happen is really important. So now we can do a real topic. DJ, what do you want to talk about? a real
We were
email. Do
gonna
you
do
have one, or do you
emails.
want me to
Yeah,
find one?
yeah, yeah. Jay was trying to get his own episode over here. Which one do you want to take from Jay here?
I
Uh,
almost feel like these are so good that they could be topics.
Well, okay. How about we just do the money one where we somebody left us it says, "Congratulations DJ and Tom, you have both separately become independently wealthy due to a distant relative with unimaginable amounts of wealth. Life is good. Worries are gone. And now money is an unimportant number that does not mean anything. Congrats. Now it's time to try your best to squander all that wealth. What are you racing? What series? Why? Do you arrive and drive? Do you buy a seat? Do you buy a team? What what would be your ideal way to go about this?"
I think we know how we got rich now.
How's
That
that?
book,
That
that book
book?
idea.
That reversible
Yep.
book? Hell yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So money no object.
I know how it would
Do
start
you have
out.
your answer?
Yeah, I know how it would start out for me. For me, it would
Go for
start
it.
out, I'd be trying everything. I'd be doing like freaking 8 different classes at like SCCA runoffs. I would be like driving in GT4, I'd be doing LMP3, I would be like GT3 in Daytona, like 24. I would be doing like stuff in Europe and Australia. I would be doing everything. But I know what would happen eventually. Eventually, I would come across something where I'm like, I need to dedicate all my time into this thing. And if I had an unimaginable amount of money, I would buy the team. I would hire the best people. I would go absolutely lizard on that thing, and I would make sure whatever I had to do to try to win, that's what would happen. Daniel says since DJ's a Porsche guy now, I look. I wouldn't be anything guy. Whatever gets the best BOP. If I have to buy 5 GT3 cars and I just pull the one off the trailer that has the best BOP that weekend, that's the one I grab. Like, because money's no object. Like, I'm figuring out a way to win.
Full weather tech.
Yes. Whitney. Okay,
Okay.
Scott Tucker.
Okay. So everything's about sampling, and then you find what you like, and you go for it.
I know how it would happen because I would want to dabble in all the things because I'm like, oh my god, I can do anything. Why not just do everything? But then eventually, because I'm doing everything, I'm not like super dialed in on a thing. There's going to be mishaps from the teams that I'm renting seats from, and I'll see mismanagement and things that I think I could do better, or that I could find somebody that could do it better, or whatever. And then it would just turn into me like just like running the whole thing. And when I say running the whole thing, that means I drive and I hire the people that can like actually do the job that I expect, right?
What happens when people can drive better than you?
I
Oh,
I hire the best coaches to help me get faster because like at the end of the day like what like my team wins maybe when I'm old, but like for now it's like no, this is like my own personal challenge to try to get as best as I can. It's basically what I'm doing already, but I have way more zeros behind what I'm doing.
Mm, I can't beat that answer. That's like the most perfect answer to like go on an adventure, figure out what you want to do, and then go
Just go
full
ham
on.
on it, yeah, just
Because
nuts.
your first response is like, "Oh, I'll just go straight to the top of whatever class. Like I'll just do full seasons of GT3." But like, it takes years to find the right set of people to do a good job in GT3 in anything. So starting with like just throwing everything at the wall, it's literally I think that's kind of the Connor Zilic model. He like did literally everything until he like sort of honed in on now he's doing like NASCAR and that GTL or GTD car. Where would I start? I would start in Europe. I think I'm a little stale on American like tracks and things I've been doing in this country. Maybe it would come back if I like could go straight back to racing GT3 cars or TCR cars, but I would either go to Europe or Australia.
I th
I would like start there and I would try all the motorsports that they have in either of those 2.
I think
And then
I
I would see if I like it enough.
Yeah, I think I'd also go to Europe just because I think motorsports is on a whole nother level over there. And
Yeah.
if I truly wanted to be the best driver that I could possibly be, I would be throwing myself into that gauntlet and try my best. Like I would learn more over there because of how brutally amazing those drivers are. That I would have to compete against them like weekend after weekend, and I would have to elevate to even to just not look like a smuck. Basically, like I would have to, I like I would have to get better, and maybe I'm just getting pounded into the dirt the whole time. But then when I'm finally like, I miss America, I'm coming back, I would be so much better for it.
You come back with an Italian accent, and you're just so fast.
They're like, who is this man?
Yeah. If you pick up a Alessandrini and all of a sudden you just have pole everywhere all the time, no matter what. I
Yeah.
think, I would still wanna do, like I would definitely do all of the big races all the races I wanna do in the US. And it would be weird ones. It would be like if the Thunderhill 25 Hours still existed to be that one. It would be like what are some of my other favorite races? It would be I would try the runoffs, sure, why not? I would
Yep.
do like a spec iron race and a NASA weekend where I
Hmm.
don't care about how everyone's just like kind of bouncing off each other sometimes. I would do like a little bit of everything, but I would also go to Europe and Australia like third of the year each.
I think.
Wait, it's summer down there when it's winter here, so I could do both and I could be year round
Yep.
and I could sail on my yacht from one to the other and just go around the world
Nah,
all the
yacht's too
time.
slow. Yacht's too slow. Like, what are you gonna do? Spend an entire
I guess
week? You could be testing the car for the next race, like on the Wednesday, instead of sitting on a boat.
right, and he didn't say I could spend my unlimited money that came from nowhere sketchy on a yacht. It has to be on racing.
Nowhere sketchy.
I mean, Jay, the question is a little sketchy.
Jay, look, if you're offering, I'm just saying. Tom said my answer was the perfect answer. I don't know. Look, when it comes to
I would
somebody on
arrive
the
and drive the people
podcast,
I know and like.
wait,
Oh, sorry.
oh, oh yeah, I didn't think about bringing people with me.
I was just reading the question and kind of had I just spit it out. It says, "You would you arrive and drive by a seat? Do you buy a team?" I would only bring the people I want to race with me.
So I've thought about this, Tom, like you know when the lottery is like $900 million or whatever, and I play it and I like daydream about like, man, what would happen if I won? And me and you would definitely be GT3 racing something, or at least GT4, right? Like we'd figure out like we'd
Whatever's the most fun to drive at that point.
yeah, whatever's the most fun to
We would
drive.
drive it all and pick one.
Well, we exactly like that's why I'd say like I'm pretty sure we would really like the GT4 cars. GT3, like maybe the way it races, the BOP lays out, like we would jump into whatever class we thought would be more fun, right? And we would be co-drivers. What are you, silver in
Hmm.
IMSA? So I would definitely
Yep.
be bronze. They'd be like, who in the hell's this guy? Dude, we would clean up.
We would have pictures of us on the AM podium every weekend, and then we'd be those guys somehow.
Oh, absolutely. It would be my face. It would be all over my
We just
Facebook.
Jay, what we would do if you did that, if you made us rich and let us do whatever we wanted, we'd become those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the answer he's looking for, but yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's what we just described.
But Well, no, I mean we would be hunting for that overall win.
We would.
Yeah,
Everyone would be like,
we'd be trying
I love
for it.
those kind of things. There's a couple of like instances of that from pro racing over the years. Back when they could do garage built cars, there was one year. Sorry, tangent. There was a year that the World Challenge rules allowed these like old cars to have big engines, or something happened with the touring cars where this guy with an old EG, it's like 1997 maybe, and this guy with a 1992 Civic, let's say, all of a sudden realizes he's got the car that can like beat everybody, and he's just a local guy. His name Roger Fu. He brings his car to the race. It's on live stream, full pro race, like broadcast television, whatever. And it's this like 5-year-old car on pole. He drives away from everybody, just completely slaps him silly over like all these teams with factory backing, Acura, BMW, and he just like dominates everybody. I'm like, how cool would that be to show up? Who's this guy with his pop-up tent and just go like clean house?
That would be
Yes.
cool. Yeah, Tom, if we were we put the thing on poll and people were like, "Who in the hell are these guys?" Be like, I think they have a podcast."
Yes.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
what our car looked like.
It
They
would
would
be
have
a
to
it
do
would
our
be a
car.
lizard brain livery. Jay would do the livery for
Yeah.
sure. Jay does all my liveries on iRacing and they always look freaking spectacular. So yeah,
Yep.
it would be a Jay design livery, and we wouldn't have any sponsors on it because it would be our thing.
I would also want to do those little French ice races where the cars with four-wheel steer in the tiny little ice arenas.
I don't know
I
what
want
you're
to try
talking
that.
about.
You know what I'm talking about? I'll try to send a video quickly, but I think it was on Top Gear once. That's where I saw it the first time. And they have like these, they're basically like GRC cars or like rally cars, but they're these really, really tight little tracks that are carved into the ice. You know, there's like the snow banks on the side, basically make the walls. And the cars have four-wheel steer, so you can like control them on the ice, and they're on studs, and they race like six at a time. It looks so fun. I want to do that too.
I forget whose Facebook story it was, but I saw somebody they like took a bunch of clips from this like snowmobile oval race that happened over the weekend. And it was like a big deal. It was like it looked like it would probably be like on Mav TV or whatever. But
Sure.
but it was like a broadcasted snowmobile oval race and the oval was huge. Uh so like the snowmobiles were freaking flying. I would love to do a race like that. I'd probably get ran over and like murdered by a snowmobile, but before that happened, I'd be having a great time.
Okay, how about this one? What about like Dakar or Baja? Would you?
Oh yeah, I think we would have to, right?
I don't know if I want to.
Why?
I'd have to do a
Explain.
little. It just doesn't. Sometimes that sounds like a lot of work. I guess I would try it. Sure,
We
why
would
not?
try
Yes, let's
it.
do it.
Maybe we wouldn't start
I
with like
forgot we're rich. We don't
Dakar
have to
or
like
like
do anything.
yeah, we wouldn't start with Dakar or like the Baja or whatever. We would do like one of the other races. We would show up and drive the trophy
Right, right,
truck
right.
or the buggy or whatever we found more interesting and then like try it out. We'd hire the best co-driver.
I want to do it in the semi truck, the
No,
like
that seems
giant.
stupid. I don't know what are those people even doing? I don't
They're like
understand
just
it.
as fast as the cars,
I
or at
know,
least they used
but
to
I
be.
don't understand why that's
I
a
want to do that.
thing. Why is that a class? How did that become a racing class? I want a 38-minute YouTube video explaining the history of that class.
Because they have to sell semis on Monday too. That's the best I can figure. But they don't really like semis are such a different like semis look different in the rest of the world. So I just assume it's a different market and people maybe it's a little more commercial. I don't know.
Tim asked about monster trucks. That's not racing.
I know. I wouldn't do monster trucks because I I've never been interested in sitting in one. I've like never I used to watch it every day. I would come home from school and it Monster Jam was on a speed channel at 4 o'clock.
What
And I would
about
watch it, but I've never wanted to be in one.
Tom, that mechanical dinosaur that eats the cars? Would you drive that? I would drive that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What? Come on. I can't be the only one that went to like a Monster Jam as a kid and you're sitting in the stands and this big metallic like dinosaur thing comes out and it picks up a car and like chews it in half and shoots fire out of its face. Am I
I
like hallucinating that? I swear that was a thing. Can somebody in the chat please save me here? Look at that thing. I don't think that's it, but that thing's amazing. So Taylor says he remembers that. Can somebody find it and please post it in the chat? I swear that's a thing, Tom.
That looks cool, but we've gone so far from motorsports with that. We're playing Power Rangers at that point.
Exactly.
We've switched from using all of Jay's free money from Not a Sketchy Place from being race car drivers to Iron Man.
What Ranger would you be, Tom?
I never watched Power Rangers.
You
I
never
don't
watched
know.
Power Rangers?
No, unfortunately, I did not.
When the Green
I
Ranger
was
showed
race
up?
cars, my brother was
Oh my
action
g dude,
figures.
that shit was over. When the Green Ranger showed up, I was like, that's my man." Green Rangers, that guy's an OG.
No, I know. We're gonna get you a mascot like Peter has his for the one lap car. You're gonna have a Green Ranger and a
And a Leonardo.
Michelangelo, Leonardo.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's any other little races that I know of that I would want to. I would want to do like a stage rally at some point,
yeah,
but probably
definitely.
not like a WRC stage rally. I'd want to do like a Targa Newfoundland rally or
Mm,
something like that.
like an amateur level stage rally. Like
Yeah,
in like a home built like STI or something.
maybe sure, something like that.
I
S2000
I'd just throw myself in there.
Camaro.
I'm not afraid to look like a Larry. I would just throw myself in like the freaking car that would murder me. Like, let's go. Come on, 800 horsepower. Like, oh, you said I had to lift for that jump? We'll hit the ground eventually. Whee!
Yeah,
Like I don't know. If money's no object, like I don't know, give me the best helmet ever, and I'm just gonna throw myself at it.
I could have a painted helmet for the first time ever.
You
God,
could.
this would be so cool. Rich.
Tom's now Tom's gonna be sad that he's not rich.
No, no, no. So that was a fun note to end on. I like that imagination. How long are we? Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we have time for one more.
Let's see if there was a quick one that just popped up. What was it? It was uh sorry.
Was it
Ooh,
Emilio's?
it's kind of silly, but we just went silly, so why not? Emilio asked if you've never gotten into racing but became friends through another competitive sport, what would the Lizard Brains podcast be centered around instead? I'm going to go with County Fair Livestock Showing. Sure.
I mean, I can't think of a better answer than that, to be honest. Like,
You know what that makes me think of? There's a show on Netflix called We Are the Champions, and it does these like weird, obscure activities from around the world. So there's an episode on
is that the one with the
yo-yoing,
cheese
competitive
rolling?
yo-yoing. Yeah, there's one where they run down a 45-degree hill chasing a cheese wheel, and it made me picture there's one for competitive frog jumping. And the person chases the frog to get it to jump as far as possible, so the person's also jumping like a frog. That would be us at the county fair. No, I think it would be video games.
It would.
We would have found each other through video games somehow. You would have gotten out of your you would have gotten out of your Halo phase and into racing, or I would have gotten somehow into shooting games. I don't maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think me and Tom would have crossed paths. Maybe music at some point. Like if we didn't get
Oh
into
yeah.
racing, like we'd probably just be doing more music stuff.
It would okay, hard pivot. We're not actually friends with a podcast. We're in a band and our band name is the Lizard Brains.
Yeah,
That's what we would be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a ska band. It just has a trumpet, a bass, and drums. And we our good friend Larry is the bassist.
Yeah. No, I play piano.
Oh, you play piano too?
Yeah, I guess we lost the drums though, because I can't play both at the same time.
I was gonna say I
Anyway,
don't know how you're gonna be able to do both of them.
yeah. Um, that's what we would be. Our podcast would be actually CDs. We'd have an album coming out every year.
We might have a podcast, but we would just talk about our music escapades and that one time that the owner of the club chased us out and because we demanded payment or whatever. You know, like that's what it would. We would just be talking about that.
Hey, Jinx. I
Yeah.
love it. We'd be the Blues Brothers.
The one time where the van broke down, but neither of us know anything about cars, and then we met that one guy named Carlton.
And he knew everything about cars. Actually, he never shut up. So, oh, I thought it was going to be DJ, but it's still Carlton.
Okay, now it's DJ.
What a bad surprise. I
I was
I
like, oh.
I mean somebody fund it now. Good.
But yeah,
Well, DJ, what are you doing this weekend?
this weekend, I I'm we're doing the Lizard Brain event on Saturday. And then me and Christine are going out to dinner to celebrate. because on Sunday I get on a plane and I'm flying to onboarding for my new job.
Your new job?
Yep. Somebody
What?
that listens to the podcast, he might be in the chat right now, reached out with an opportunity, and I took it. And so I won't be with Hawk Performance come this Friday. So when this podcast comes out, it will be Thursday. That's my second to last day, and then the next day after that will be my last day at Hawk Performance. And I've learned, if anybody from over there, and I know some people in the office listen to it, if you just found out just now, sorry. I thought
Don't go listen back. We said so many bad things about you.
no, they're fine. um, uh, it's it's a little bittersweet leaving, just because there's people in the office that I really like. They're almost like my brothers. And before I started working there, I really didn't have anybody in like the Cleveland area, because my network is like all over the country. It's not really like based in like where I actually live, because every weekend I'm not where I actually live. So like, how do you build connections with people local if you don't ever do anything local, right? So um I'll miss those guys. We've already planned on every second Wednesday we like go out to eat somewhere for lunch or something. Um and I learned a ton in that office, just from the people working around me and then the situations that I was thrown in, and I'm ready to take those things that I learned on to the next thing. So, and funnily enough, if you guys remember, the opportunity came from when, I don't know if anybody remembers, but I had to take an hour of vacation time because I dipped out of work at 3 o'clock to go to a local motorsports thing. That's where the opportunity came from. So if you guys remember me talking about that, that's kind of how long this has been brewing.
Good for you, dude. I think that job's been so cool for you though, because you're like you're competing in motorsports and participating in motorsports like was on its trajectory. But I think that job like threw you in motorsport spaces faster than you would have found your way there.
I
In the
think so,
same way that
yeah.
starting working for Track Night did for me. Like it put you on this like subject what is it, SME, subject matter expert path, as well as being a really good competitive driver.
I will say I am an expert on brake pads for race cars. I
Yep.
like absolutely, like it was my profession, right? So that's kind of cool. Um, the other thing that it gave me, that I think the thing that's probably going to be very valuable for the motorsport stuff, is a perspective of what the companies are looking for to be able to help people. And we've talked about
Yeah.
that on a previous episode where it's sponsorships and stuff like that. So if you're looking for help for companies, go find that episode. I forget what episode it is. It was probably more than a year ago. It was around like SEMA or PRI. Um, but with that insight on what companies are looking for and how I can create value for them, uh, it's it's going it's I'm excited for what racing holds in the future, cuz I think I'll have a better idea of what value I can help create.
Yep. Super cool. Congrats.
Thanks, Tom.
So the next 2 weeks will be remote recorded,
I bought a new
but
thing.
as far as we know, you won't know,
You
other
shouldn't
than that
know.
I just said
You shouldn't know.
it.
I bought a new thing cuz the current podcast machine is kind of big and I need to travel kind of light, cuz the onboarding for the new gig is 2 weeks long, and they were going to fly me home for the weekend. And I went, "Well, you can fly me home or you can fly me to Florida." And they're like, sure, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah." So I'm going to drive Sebring. So I need to bring like a helmet and all like the things to drive at Sebring. But then I also need to bring all the stuff to like, live for 2 weeks. So
Yep.
I haven't figured out the logistics of packing yet, but I need to figure that out. So I knew the podcast machine, it's kind of bulky, wasn't gonna like cut it. So I got like a little mobile cheap podcast thing, but I've been messing with the settings and everything. So hopefully next week it's like exactly like this. But I won't have as many buttons. I'll only have 4.
That'd be nice.
What about you, Tom? What are you doing this weekend?
And you activate, well, never mind. I won't blow the cover. The
Oh, no,
we have the Lizard Brains thing this weekend.
Guys,
But
I'm sorry you won't hear from Carlton for the next 2 weeks. There's no voice
you knew where I was
filters.
going. Yeah. I'll be a peaceful 2 weeks. Lizard Brains event on Saturday. You can join the Discord to learn more about it. It's on iRacing. And then the Sunday, well, at some point I'm going to go visit my brother because he just started his paternity leave after 3 months after his daughter was born. They like staggered them. So I'm going to try to go spend some time with him while he's just not at home. But he's in Cincinnati, so it's a little further away. That's about it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Tom, there's an
Yeah.
autocross event that I'm planning on going to on February 22nd. You should come with. It's in Charlotte.
Dude, I'm stoked. My first event is next weekend, not this one. I'm going to Miami, but I'll tell you more about it next week.
Oh,
And
okay.
then that would start events for the year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it's starting, like the driving, because I definitely have like 4 weekends planned, and then like the next like 6, but there's 2 tentative ones in there that could make it 6 weeks of driving in a row, starting like in the middle of February. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah. Come on, goals.
Yep, we're doing it. We're doing the thing, Tom. All right. Should we end this? My mouth stopped
Yeah.
talking. Is this a good time to end the show?
Seems like a good sign.
Okay. My brain stopped braining, Tom.
Yeah. You're still recovering from that walk, I guess.
I
But
kind of
hey.
am a little bit, yeah.
But you can remember, like when you're on your walks, stick to the rivers you're used to. Don't go chasing those waterfalls. But I love your hair, and I hope you win.